Hey, what's up guys, it's Renaldo here. So, this video feels like deja vu, but the difference is I'm not the main character this time. The main character is Conrad Koch, aka Chester Missing, because the South African Human Rights Commission has come out and forced him to apologize for using the K and the N word in 2013 and 2014, I believe. And what is fascinating is the lack of mainstream media coverage on this apology. When I had to apologize, every single major media outlet covered it. When he apologized, one or two, maybe three, but also not on the front page, just somewhere in there. I suppose it's because he's a woke leftist and that is what mainstream media is. So, they'd rather go after a conservative Afrikaner because, hey, that's easy target right there. Anyway, with that being said, before we jump into the denial, then the evidence, and then the apology, let me just remind you to subscribe to this channel. It's absolutely free. It won't cost you anything. And the overwhelming majority of people that regularly watch my content aren't subscribed. But you can fix that by just clicking the subscribe button below. It'll be greatly appreciated. All right, so let's start off with the denial from Conrad Koch. Now, there are many instances of him denying it, but I'm just going to read the very first sentence. Never said the K word, bro. Ever. And he was talking to the Kifness when the Kifness still had a profile. The post is not available because the Kifness deleted his profile. And good on him, because I'm considering getting off X because it's just way too toxic and way too many bot accounts. So anyway, this was him denying that he ever said the K word, that he ever said the N word, and then ultimately, there's a post from 2013 that says, actually, LNN is run by black dudes, not sure who's a K though. Mtama, white boy won't take instructions from a blank, okay, donkey boss. So there he is saying it for everybody to see. And then, of course, this video. But this video, I want to start off by showing his hypocrisy, because he proclaims that I was a racist and there's no excuse for it because I used the K and the N word, and there's no reason that you can ever use that word. But apparently that's exactly what he did, and the irony here is that he used it in this manner right here.
JP Smith, the DA dude, just joked that he can't say Abongile Nzelinzele's surname. Now, there's going to be a lot of debate around this because it was just a joke, but the problem is that's how racism works. We go, it's just a joke, like racism's medical aid, and saying, it's just a joke, it's the fine print, where we squeeze the racism through.
You jealous? Why am you jealous because you can't say nigger? Not do. Nigger, 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 nigger. Oh, but just people like that don't say camera.
Yeah. So denying it, then two instances clearly showing that he actually did say it, and then ultimately, was there outrage? Oh no, there was no outrage. Mainstream media didn't blast this from wall to wall after it became public. No. That is only reserved for people that are right-leaning. So it's quite weird how if a conservative individual or a person center-right says these words to illustrate a point, then you're a racist and you need to lose your job and you need to be cancelled. But if you're a woke leftist, then, oh no, it's actually a joke. There's context here. So context only matters when you are a woke leftist. If you are a center person or a center-right person, then you're a racist. And there's no excuse to ever utter it. And ultimately, then, what it boiled down to was him having to apologize. And let's see if you can call this an apology. So firstly, he just posted this screenshot, this image, and it says, this apology is issued following a mediation process facilitated by the South African Human Rights Commission. It is provided in good faith and it's not intended as an admission of legal liability. Oh, well, there we go. As a satirist whose work has long engaged with themes of race, racism, and social injustice, I have always aimed to use humor to challenge prejudice rather than reinforce it. I am deeply aware of the painful and enduring legacy carried by certain racial expressions within South Africa's history. I acknowledge that aspects of my past work and commentary, including a tweet posted in 2013 and a performance video from 2014, may have contributed to the circulation of historically offensive racial language. Even when the intention was to expose or critique racism, the impact may nonetheless have caused hurt, offense, and distress, and may have affected the dignity and lived experience of members of the public. There's one too many ands in there. I regret this impact. I apologize to those who were hurt or offended, and I accept that greater care should have been exercised to ensure that attempts to challenge racism do not inadvertently perpetuate the very harm being criticized. I remain committed to exercising artistic and expressive freedom in ways that are mindful of audience impact and respectful of the constitutional values of dignity, equality, and non-racialism. In accordance with the mediation outcome facilitated by the Commission, the performance video that formed part of the complaint has been amended. A clarification message has been inserted to provide context, and certain language has been removed to obscure to prevent any further harm or distress. I appreciate the constructive engagement with the Commission and hope that this statement contributes to continued dialogue, reflection, and understanding within our society. Now, let me start off by saying that I don't believe that he should have apologized for this. I don't believe that this should have been a thing from the start. However, I did play a part in him having to apologize, and let me explain why, and I hope this makes sense. Conrad Koch was one of the cheerleaders when this whole thing with me happened, when I used the K and the N-word and that video came out, and then context didn't matter at all. You know, he didn't care about the context. I uttered those words, therefore I'm a racist, and therefore I need to lose my job and I need to be cancelled, right? He made a couple of videos. He posted a couple of posts on X about it, mocking and joking about it. And ultimately, then the video started coming out of him doing the same thing. I was not hurtful or hateful in the way that I intended those words when I said it. I wanted to illustrate a point. He also didn't mean to be hurtful or harmful by uttering those words, but because he was the cheerleader in getting people to make videos about me and to cancel me, and also just to speak ill about people that have used it in the past, I think that it's only fair then that he has to go through the exact same thing to understand why sometimes context actually is important. So that is the first thing. I don't agree with the apology, but because he was such an arsehole through that entire process, I think that it was right for him to go through the same process. And perhaps just consider that you can use those words in a non-hurtful, non-harmful way, and you're not a racist. You're actually just wanting to illustrate a point, or you want to tell a joke as a comedian, and it's fine because people will laugh, and as long as it's not aimed at somebody specific, then it should not be hate speech. But that's the one side of it. The second aspect, as you could see from his apology, he stated that him and the South African Human Rights Commission had a mediation. Well, he's lucky. Within 12 hours of IOL releasing that really warped article on me with the, a 6-second video clip instead of the 6-minute video clip, they rushed to the courts. Within 12 hours, they opened a case against me. They didn't contact me for mediation. They didn't contact me for my opinion or, for my version of the events. No. They just went straight to court. Why didn't they do that for Conrad? Why didn't they go straight to the court and ask questions later, like they did with me? I don't have the answer, and I suppose I will never have the answer. The South African Human Rights Commission might have erred in rushing to court within 12 hours when they didn't have the full context. But then, when the press ombudsman found IOL guilty of 4 different breaches of the press code in that article, they doubled down. They didn't go, oh, maybe we should have mediation with Renaldo to understand what was going on here. No, they doubled down and said he uttered those words and therefore he's guilty. By the way, where is the media with this apology from Conrad Koch? Oh, wait, there isn't really any media. Wonder, when I apologized, it was all over. And now when he apologized, nobody cares. That's right, it's because he's a woke leftist. He can get away with a lot more than a conservative, right-leaning individual. That's how mainstream media works in South Africa. I just find it problematic that you want to proclaim that you will fight for equality, but then you don't apply equality. I find that problematic. And this is not black versus white. This is white versus white. This is ideological differences. This is whether you are a woke leftist or whether you're conservative. And I know that a lot of conservatives that is watching this video will agree with me that there is this double standard when it comes to, if you say something, whether somebody on the woke left says something, and that is problematic. So to end off this video, Conrad, I forgive you, buddy. I forgive you, for using the K and the N word. A little part of me is going like, yes, maybe he's still a racist, maybe. No, I'm just joking. It's just like insane that in the year of our Lord and Savior, 2026, people still get so offended by the usage of words. I understand that there are limitations to freedom of speech. If your speech leads to the death of people, or if you utter a word like bomb in a cinema and people rush and there is a stampede and people die, then of course you need to be held accountable for it. But random words that, is not leading to anything physically happening to somebody, I don't know. It's just absurd. It truly is absurd because you are weaponizing language. And when you weaponize language, there's always going to be people that's going to use it against you. Ultimately, though, if you want to live by the sword, then you need to die by the sword. And that is what happened. And that is why, even though personally I felt that there's no apology needed, I understand why it was needed. Maybe it broadens his mind a little bit, maybe it doesn't, but irrespective, at least now we have a woke leftist that had to apologize for racial language. And that's pretty much all I got to say, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share this video far and wide. And if you enjoy my content and if you enjoy this channel, then please consider becoming a member. You can do so by clicking the join button below, and it'll cost you R39.99 a month, and that is in support of me and this channel, and it will be greatly appreciated. And that's all I got to say, everybody. Till later, cheers, and peace out.
You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre. You don't even know me, but every time you see me, you say, I wear my massacre. I wear my massacre.